What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Thinktwice, a weekly show where we talk about things going on in the world of Magic the Gathering, gaming, and pop culture. For episode 29, I'm your host, Justin Parnell, joined by my co-host, Ali Aintrazi. And this week, we're going to be talking about Ali's foray into the Great Designer Search 3, the Magic story Sabotage, and some of our favorite Hidden Roles board games. So this is normally the part where I ask you, what did you do last week? But unfortunately, I know all too well.
Unfortunately or fortunately?
Unfortunately.
Why?
Because we pooped. We pooped our pants, man. We pooped them real good.
Listen, Parnell, sometimes you gotta poop. You know?
Well,
you can't learn about the rainbow shooting butterflies and the raining men singing songs and the flying hippos if sometimes you just don't poop the bed.
Yeah, we did. We pooped it. We pooped it real good. So we went to the SEG Tour event in Philadelphia, which was a team event, which we played with Steve Orange Man. And we pumped him full of orange juice. He was good to go.
Was he?
I mean, he was he was as good as the rest of us.
Yeah, he was.
I played Legacy again. You played Modern again. Steve played Standard again, and we were able to make it to round 6, and then we were eliminated.
Yeah. Well, we all played the same decks again, same archetype basically.
Yeah.
And we died.
We did. We hit a couple of snags in matchups that and on multiple different axes that more than one of us could not win at the same time, which made it more difficult.
Yep. Yeah. The one matchup you're playing Sultai Delver.
Yes.
And you played against Lands, and I was playing Jeskai. I played against Dredge, which is my worst matchup.
Yeah. And that is essentially my worst matchup when it's a good pilot.
Yep.
And it was. He was the only in Baltimore last November. I played either Lands or Turbo Depths 4 times, and the person I lost to this time was the only person to defeat me last time. And of course, they were the ones that we beat playing for top 8, and then they eliminated us from the tournament this time after we eliminated them from the tournament last time.
Crazy how... But it's funny. They got their revenge, but then they also failed.
They did, because we saw them walking around also. They did not make it out.
Yeah.
But they got to teach us something good, though, I guess.
Yeah. We had fun. We definitely had fun. I still enjoy the team events just because I'm with friends. What's great about the team events, too, is that when you lose, you're all done. Like, you can go do whatever you want. When you win, you can all celebrate. So we got ice cream. We got ice cream.
We did.
And...
we didn't know. I knew I wanted ice cream, but when I said it initially, like I knew in the morning, I didn't know if it was going to be celebration ice cream or consolation ice cream.
You're right.
It was consolation ice cream.
Oh, it was consolation ice cream. I got this thing called mochi, which was wrapped in like great, awesome rice skin.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's ice cream wrapped in rice.
It was delicious.
And the best part of it was you foolishly trying to fit all of it in your mouth at one time.
Yeah, the first bite, I took it. I tried to eat it all one bite. And it wasn't happening. Because usually you can chew something up, right? Like if it's too big, you can chew it up, right? And it's like, okay, you're fine.
That is how that works, yeah. Thank goodness you broke that down, because some of our listeners are unfamiliar with how to eat.
Right. There you go.
But now you know.
No, the thing is, like, you can't chew up ice cream. Like, you can, but you're going to die. Your teeth are going to die.
You'll try, and you'll die.
So I was trying to chew it up. I bit into ice cream. I was like, okay, I can't do this. So I just, like, spit it out.
It looked like you were... I don't know. It looked like a gross sack.
It was, yeah. Hey, I did not let that sack go to waste, okay?
You did. You ate that sack up. You cut it in half.
I cut it in half, and I ate it up.
That was something else.
It was delicious.
So, yeah.
I got six of them. I gave one to Justin.
Yep.
And then ate the rest.
You
they were
did.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Man, I want some now.
They're pretty good. They were pretty tasty. I liked them.
Yeah.
So then on Sunday we played in 3 classics. You, myself, and Steve, and we replicated our Saturday performance individually.
It just wasn't our weekend. It's all right.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens. It was still. I think. I still had a good time.
Me too.
I still enjoyed. I enjoyed our team. I think Steve is a good balance for us because we kind of have wild swings of discussion and frustration when we're with each other, and then Steve's just always basically he's flatlining the situation.
Yes.
Emotionally, which is what we need sometimes.
The best part about the weekend was winning the question of the week by a landslide.
You did not win the question of the week by a landslide, and I was going to save this segment until we talked about Magic Story, but I guess I won't.
Too late.
Okay, so Ollie, when you say landslide, what you really mean is this was the closest question of the week we have ever had in history. And this may go down as the closest question of the week in podcast history, no matter how long we do this podcast.
That's not true. Maybe. Yeah, that's true.
I think that is definitely true.
It's also true that I won by a landslide.
It's not. Okay. Stop saying that because people are going to think that that's the case, and it's not.
Well, here's what happened. So it was 14% voted, didn't listen or see results.
That's right.
Only 43% voted for Justin's right. That first of all, how about we read the question? The question was, when the inevitable ultimate showdown happens between Jace and Nicole Bolas in Magic Story, who will come out on top? Justin said Jace. I said Nicole Bolas. Yes, I said it. If it's head to head, Bolas will. So 14% didn't listen. Only 43% said Justin's right. Jace will win, and then a massive 43% said Ollie's right.
That's true. Now, see, what you guys don't know if you're looking at the poll or listening to these numbers is in the breakdown, Ollie's vote, which was for Nicole Bolas, received exactly one more vote.
Landslide.
Than mine did. But I also want to keep in mind for everyone listening that since I posted the question of the week on my Twitter, I'm not allowed to vote in my own poll.
I didn't vote.
I'm just saying it's interesting that yours won by 1.
Oh, yeah, because for the first hour, Justin was bragging because he had 60% votes and 0.
It was 80. It was 89% of the vote.
Whatever. It was something insane. It was for the longest time. Then finally, people saw reason and started voting for Nicole Bolas.
But not enough of them. In fact, the exact same amount.
Except one.
Well, that could have been you.
It wasn't me.
It could have been though.
It could have been, but it wasn't.
I'm just saying, I can't vote. You can vote. Question of the week. Did Ollie vote for question of the week last week? I'm just kidding. Okay.
Ollie wins. Ding, 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 ding.
Well, Ollie, you want to talk about something you didn't win?
What?
The Great Designer Search.
Oh, man. That's a low blow.
I'm sorry. Okay, so on that note, now that Ollie is sad, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Great Designer Search 3 and the failed multiple choice question portion.
Jesus.
Oh, don't cry.
I'm crying.
Don't cry, little loser.
I'm crying. We made it. I made it to only stage 2 of the Great Designer Search.
To be fair, there's only 4 stages.
So you're saying it's halfway.
Technically 5.
We're halfway there.
No, not even halfway if you really want to think about it.
Dang, you're just all about
I'm just saying. Look, like
the heel cutter. You're the heel cutter. You're a goblin heel cutter. You're dashed too. You've been dashed.
Much like the Great Designer Search multiple choice question test, I'm simply using data. I'm not even saying anything that's untrue.
You know what? I'm over it.
So I'm giving you a hard time about this, but this was you. So I guess let's start from the beginning. You entered into the Great Designer Search 3.
Yes, I did. And the first question was basically like an article. It was a little longer than an article.
The first stage, we'll say.
Yeah, the first stage.
It was 10 essay questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
ended up being like 3,000 words or so. And we passed that, but I think honestly anyone that entered and put reasonable answers passed to the question part. And the question part, I want to say about 3,000 people moved on to that. And out of those 3,000 people, only 3%...
94 people.
Advanced, yeah. So less than about 3% advanced.
So let's start at the beginning. So why did you, and a lot of people did, but why did you enter into the Great Designer Search?
I know these things don't come up often, and honestly, the Great Designer Search, I did not enter. I was young. I wanted to play Magic. I don't like. Also, I didn't know enough. Now I was older, and while I wasn't 100% sure if I could do the job or not, like if I could like travel or move to Seattle and stuff, I knew I still would be mad at myself if I didn't try, or like I'll look back in 3 years and be like, man, why didn't I try 3 years ago to get in this? So I did take the essay part, and I took the quiz part, and actually put a lot of time and effort and research into all of this, and tried my best to pass and as they say down the south, get her done.
No, they don't. They don't say that.
Get her done.
Nope. Not where I live. Not in Mountainous Roanoke, Virginia.
Where they say brr, it's cold up here.
They say why did it change atmosphere? Why did it change 45 degrees from Monday to Tuesday afternoon? That's usually what they say.
Probably. It's freezing up there.
Okay, so man, the fact that you needed for this part, you needed to get 73 of 75 questions right.
Yeah.
Do you know how many you got right?
I think there's like this thing on Reddit where people that got it right made a poll or made a thread, and I believe I got about 68 right.
Okay, so you missed 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's honestly, that's pretty good in 75, but I mean,
yeah, it's wasn't good enough. It was not the top 3%. And also some of the questions were like, apparently, one of the questions was which card would they not reprint, and it was like something ridiculous, like recall, whatever. It basically came down to Lightning Bolt and Llanowar Elves. And I chose Lightning Bolt because that was reprinted one time. I know Llanowar Elves was reprinted before, but the thing was, I did not believe they would ever reprint Llanowar Elves because they would reprint it as Elvish Mystic.
Elvish Mystic, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, so it's between those two. I was like, okay, it's definitely not Llanowar Elves because that would come back as Elvish Mystic. And they said 1 mana accelerants are too much, and they've said Rampant Growth is too much. So it's okay, so Lightning Bolt. And apparently the answer, obviously, is not 100%. I'm not 100% sure, but according to this Reddit thing, the answer was Llanowar Elves.
I wonder. So this is an interesting one to me because I feel like they lock themselves in for this one. Like, don't they now have to reprint like a Llanowar Elves before they reprint a Lightning Bolt?
They probably won't reprint any, but I mean, I guess in time they have to, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise,
who knows what can happen in 10 years? So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting one because because I was looking at the kind of the crowdsourced correct answers on Reddit. Did you what was another one of the hardest questions that you
Another
encountered?
one that's hard for me. I think it was 32. The question was: you've designed a card and you want the play design team to like it. How should you choose your casting cost? A. Ask someone from the play design team to choose the casting cost. B. It doesn't matter. They'll fix the casting cost if you get it wrong. C. Find a similar card to use as a basis for the casting cost, then make it 1 mana cheaper. D. Use your intuition. Or E. Pick the strongest cost that isn't broken. I went back and forth on this between use your intuition and ask someone from the play design team to choose the casting cost, I figured that they probably don't want you to guess because that doesn't really do anything. And I figured the best way to engage someone, like if I go to someone like, "Hey, you're on play design. I've designed this card. What should it what should it cost?" By asking them what it cost, it forces them to look at the card, read it, get involved in the card, and it pulls them in. This way, they have to think about it, and they will give it a casting cost, and they're more likely to like it. So I picked asked someone from the play design team to choose the casting cost, and I think that was the right answer as well. But that was a really hard one for me.
Yeah, it looks like from the crowdsourcing that was accurate. I mean, that one, to me, looking at it, like, I would have immediately chosen that answer.
Right.
Like, that didn't even seem like one of the harder ones to me.
Well, it just seems weird that they want you to ask, like, I guess if you do process of elimination, maybe it's a little easier. But
I don't even think so. I think just right off the bat, like...
Oh, well, excuse me, Mr. Genius.
Well, no, I think it's... Okay, so I'll look at it like this. I worked in retail for a really long time.
Yeah.
And... often I sold shoes. So when I was purchasing shoes for the next season, so if I was in the spring and I'd be working with a sales rep for a shoe company purchasing the fall line, and I was kind of trying to decide between two similar shoes or different colors, which one I wanted to stock, and I wasn't sure if there was a customer in the store. I'd be like, "Hey, ma'am, do you want to come over and look at some of these shoes we're trying to decide on what to carry for the fall line?" "Oh, okay, sure." And just say, "Of these three, which one of these do you like?" This is literally the person that I'm going to be purchasing these shoes to try to sell to, so why would I not immediately just get their feedback if they're available?
That makes sense, yeah.
But like I don't think like other people, like if they got, because you came to the answer in a completely different way, which isn't wrong. Like I think your reasoning is sound, but like to me, looking from like a retail perspective, it's like, of course I want to get feedback from my customer. And in this case, the play design team is your customer because that's who you're giving the cards to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
The other question that one more question that was a little hard or strange was, why doesn't common often have a 7-mana instant or sorcery?
Yeah, that's a super hard question. Like I don't even...
Well, let me give you the answer. The answers make it even more confusing.
Okay.
A was, it makes the math too hard. That one we could probably eliminate. That made no sense to me.
That's a lazy. I hope that's not the right answer. That's super lazy.
Right. B was, common creatures need to be more expensive than instants or sorceries. I don't fully understand that, but I kind of do. Like, okay, that could be one. C was, it's too complex for beginners. And I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe. D was, they are hard to design. I don't believe that can be an answer because if you're on play design team, a card should never be too hard to design. That's
also a lazy answer.
Yeah. And then the last one, E, was, it's too impactful for common. And this one I eliminated too because if something costs 7 or 8, if something costs 7 mana or 6 or 8 mana, whatever, it's going to be impactful no matter what. Like if it's an instant, if it's a creature, if it's a sorcery, if it's an enchantment, if it's going to cost 7 or 8, no matter what rarity it is, it's going to be impactful.
Or maybe it's even not. It just doesn't mean that it's good. There's a ton of crappy common cards that are expensive, and they're just expensive.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I went with I just did process elimination. I eliminated the hard to design. I eliminated they're too complex for beginners. I eliminated the math is too hard. And I eliminated this too impactful for common because cost. So something that costs that high should just be impactful. And I went with common creatures need to be more expensive than the instants and sorceries.
Yeah, I mean I think I probably would have came to the same answer on that one, but it's also hard for me to say because it's looking at it in retrospect.
Right. Well, you would have been wrong just like me because the answer was it's too impactful for common.
See,
which I still don't understand. I don't understand that because if it's going to cost 7 or 8 or 7 mana, it's too impactful. Like a 7 mana spell should be impactful. How's that too impactful for common? But Obviously, obviously, if that's the answer, then I don't deserve to be on. I don't understand completely play design team or the play design thing for Wizards. So maybe that was a good question for them to ask.
Yeah,
because
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, like it's more important for them to find people that already agree with their philosophy. Not that they don't want people to question things, but if your brain thinks in that way, maybe that's more important for them.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously they ask all these questions for a reason, you know.
Sure.
And so even though I don't understand it, or maybe I don't agree with it necessarily, it doesn't matter because they were looking for something, asking the question, and they're getting what they're looking for. So that's good for them.
Yeah. So this was the biggest leap from from like cutting down people, right? And really like this is the third Great Designer Search. So in all of the Great Designer Search history, like cutting down from stage 2 to stage 3 eliminated like almost 3,000 people or over 3,000 people. Do you think that this was do you think this was the best way? I mean, like obviously it's the most efficient way because you cut down an outrageous number of people, but
here's the thing, I think it's the most efficient way. I absolutely do not think it's the best way. Okay. I think if you want to do quiz way, if you want to do the quiz way, that's fine. I think you should break it down to at least 2 quizzes. But here's the problem. Okay. I do not think they anticipated to have this many entrants.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
So they're kind of caught already because like they had all of this prepared when they announced this, and I mean they can't go back and change and like add a stage.
Yeah,
that would be a significant amount of work for them.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that eliminating that many people, God, you eliminated like 2,900 people. You know, out of 3,000, that's huge. Eliminating that many people in one fell swoop, I think, isn't fair. Like, it does not give you the. It's not the best way to get the person you're looking for, in my opinion. I think if you. I mean, maybe I'm probably wrong. But just let me finish.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'm saying like if you, I think it should be a multitude of tests, and maybe one of the tests could like eliminate you, but I don't think it should be like one big thing eliminate completely. But I don't know. I'm probably wrong. Maybe I'm saying this because like I don't want to be eliminated. You know.
That could be it. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Well, I want to weigh in on this one because I agree with. Ultimately, from an emotional perspective, I agree with you. But looking at it business wise, I'm someone that hires people. Mm-hmm. That's part of my job at Star City Games, and if I have a large number of applicants, finding ways to eliminate people based on a variety of things makes my job not just easier, but ultimately helps me complete my task of hiring someone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because when I go in to my hiring process, I'm not trying to find the perfect candidate. I'm trying to find the best candidate from what I have available.
Yeah, and that's how they did.
That doesn't mean that, let's say if I get 20 applicants and I have one position, if I narrow it down, is the absolute best perfect candidate sometimes lost along the way? Maybe. But as long as I come out with one that I feel like is a very good one and the best in how much time it takes, that's something that I think a lot of people don't take into consideration is like,
no, that makes sense.
They could draw this out for a year and a half and really find the perfect person.
Yeah.
But that costs them a lot of time and money to do that. Yeah. And it's honestly like, it's probably much better for them to narrow it down quickly to get a group of people that are going to be good candidates. I mean, I don't think anyone could say someone that got a 93 on this test or better doesn't.
There's 97 or better.
Or excuse me, a 73 out of 75.
Yes, yeah, which is 97%. Yes,
Sure.
97.
Yeah, that got that on this test isn't going to be one of the best candidates. And,
Right,
and that doesn't mean that there could be another 50 people that ultimately are going to be as good as those candidates or better than some of the ones that made it based on the multiple choice test. But you kind of got to. This is a trust the process type thing, I think.
No, I understand. I understand. Like you're saying, I absolutely agree with you that I do believe that the best candidate. I'm not saying that's me. I'm just saying like I do believe the best candidate is probably lost along the way.
Yeah, like the absolute best in the perfect world, the perfect candidate is you probably don't hire that person. It's almost impossible.
No. Yeah, but you do get someone that is like 97% the best candidate, or 95%, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so it's close enough, basically, and it's much faster.
Yep.
Because like again, like people that go, let's say you go apply for a job. Some jobs give you quizzes, right? And that quiz, like usually they let you go on to the job if you get like a 90% or pass enough, and then from there, how you work determines how they keep you or not. But again, we're not like McDonald's or Circle K hiring like 5-6 people. They can't hire 3,000 people and see how good they work. So you're right. This is the most efficient and the best outcome for the time frame they have.
Yep. I get it though, and I get how I get. I mean, because it makes you feel bad as someone who put a lot of time. Well, I mean, you put a lot of time in. Yeah,
I felt. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, I felt bad, for about a day or so. But then afterwards, I got over it. But I did feel bad because, you and I have designed a custom cube together, and we've like done this for a lot. And also, I've played this game for a long time. So yeah, I did ultimately feel bad, but in the end, I'm just glad at least I tried. At least I tried, and I did give my best, so I can't really complain about that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know who can complain?
You?
Azor.
Azor?
Yeah.
Poor Azor, he got destroyed last time.
He did. Poor Azor got shoved out the door.
Yeah, by Jace.
So, we've talked a lot about Jace.
Yes.
But now it's time to talk about a couple of dragons. So, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Sabotage. So we can say, like, definitively, the dragons are just jerks.
After the story, essentially, yes.
Okay.
They're very full. I would say they are very full of themselves.
Yeah. Why don't you give us the very brief rundown of what happened in today's Magic Story, or this week's Magic Story, Sabotage?
So basically, the story is in the past. It's about like what I think it was 1,500 years ago. 1,300 years ago. Okay, so it's basically in the past. It's talking about Bolas traveling all across the plains. He's reading by this Sphinx planeswalker named Azor. Blah blah blah. He just keeps traveling. He hears about him. He can never find him, but this finally leads him back to Tarkir, where leads him to Ugin. And Ugin and Azor have made this grand plan to imprison Bolas with the Immortal Sun. Azor gives us the spark to make the Immortal Sun, but ultimately Bolas finds out about the plan. He fights Ugin. He's like, "Yo, Ugin, we're having a fight." But at the upper hand, raises his finger. All the dragons are on Tarkir. All the dragons around Tarkir, all the dragons around them come and attack Ugin to basically be mind controlled. And then Ugin falls, and we know from Fate Forge that Ugin is cocooned by Sarkhan. Bolas doesn't know this. And then Bolas walks away. Azor stuck on Ixalan for thousands of years, thinking his friend abandoned him or doesn't know what happened. And then that flashback goes away. Then we come back to Jace and Vraska. Jace is like
in present day.
In present day, yes. In present day, kind of Jason Vraska. And Jason's like, yo, this is who Bolas is. This is what he's doing. By the way, his ultimate plan is to go to Ravnica. And Vraska's like, oh my god, I was working for this guy. He's going to come home. He's going to come at home. What should we do? They ultimately come up with a plan so that Jace is able to take Vraska's memories and put them in his head, and then give them back later. This is shown in induced amnesia or induced amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
So he does that, and Vraska opens her eyes after her memories have been taken away. All memories of Jace have been taken away, and then she sees the immortal sun. She's like, "Oh, I found the immortal sun. Wow, that was crazy." She pulls out the compass. The compass points to the sun. She's like, "Okay, yeah, this is the sun." Then she calls Tezzeret to come get the planar bridge, or come with the planar bridge to take the immortal sun, and that's what he does.
And that's where this particular story ends. But
yeah,
obviously, this story is not just one story; it's two stories. So, which one do you want to start with?
Ooh, let's start with the past one. The one in the past.
Okay. Well, as usual, I have a rant. So, do you want to start, or do you want me to rant?
Go rant.
Rant. Okay.
Get it out. Get it out.
Ugin, dude, this is the most untrustworthy planeswalker in the multiverse. And that's saying something because Bolas is still hanging around scheming and stuff.
No.
But here's the difference between Bolas.
No, I agree with you.
You agree? Bolas.
I know why.
Bolas is the devil you know.
Yes.
Ugin's the devil you don't.
Yes, he is the foreshadowing. He's like the web weaver. He is a person that's like.
Yep. Keep going.
You think he's good. You think he's means well, but he's conniving.
Azor even says as much. It's so I felt, man, this story made me feel even worse for Azor than I did.
Yeah, poor guy, dude. Last time, yeah.
Yeah. Because
Ugin plays Azor by feeding into his emotions. Azor wants a friend or someone near him.
Which is crazy for Azor, right? Because he's literally the law, the most lawliest law mage that's ever lawed.
Exactly.
And
it keeps good.
Azor looks up to Ugin. Like he admires him and he wants to be like him. Like he's kind of in awe of him. And this is someone who could be his equal. They're both planeswalkers. They're both very powerful planeswalkers.
Yes.
And Ugin absolutely uses this to his advantage. And I don't want to say that he tricks him, because Azor ultimately wants what Ugin wants, what we think.
He manipulates him for sure.
But he definitely manipulates him.
Yes. He calls the Sphinx friend, and he laces the word friend with...
It melts Azor's heart when he hears Ugin call him his friend.
Yes. Yep.
Which, God, it pisses me off. Look, after reading this story and then thinking back about what Jace and Vraska did to Azor.
Yeah, poor Azor.
Especially what we talked about last week. He just literally did not deserve any of what's ever happened to him in his entire existence.
That we know of. I mean, to be fair, we did learn Azor's age. Azor is approximately 13,300 years old. So
yes, because he had lived for 10,000 years prior.
Or sorry, 11,300 years old.
Yes.
Yes.
Roughly.
So that's a long time to be alive. So while to say that he does everything he's done in his life, we don't necessarily know that, but it seems like he's been played and treated unfairly from what we know.
No, which is true, which is ironic because that's Jason Vraska's whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But it does say in the story the Sphinx was a Eriomancer who had lived for 10,000 years. His causes were noble, even if his reasons were not.
This is what Ugin is thinking. Right?
No. I want to be... Well, let's be clear about that. This is not Ugin's thought. The first part of this story, the narrator is not a part of the narrator is not a part of the story, and this is going to be really, really important when we in a few minutes. Yep. This is a narrator that is telling you facts about these characters. The reason this is really, really important, like really freaking important, is we very rarely in Magic Story, especially Ixalan Magic Story, have narrators that are not part of the story. Yes. Most of the time, it's telling you whose perspective the story is being told from.
Yes, everything that they say here is a fact.
Exactly. And previously, when you see something from Vraska's perspective or Jace's perspective or anyone's, the things that you're reading are things that they're thinking or perceiving. They're not necessarily facts. When it says the Sphinx was an Aeromancer who lived for 10,000 years, that is a fact. Everything that it's saying about Ugin is a fact. Everything it's saying about Nicol Bolas from the narrator is a fact. However, anything that we are reading that a character is saying to another character, that is not necessarily a fact. That is simply what they are saying. Now, why is this so important? Some of you are asking. You were saying, Ali, why don't you tell me what we were talking about before we started the podcast? With Ugin's intentions.
Oh, what I said his intentions were?
Yes.
I thought his intentions were to destroy Nicol Bolas or imprison him, but ultimately taking him out of existence. Where I thought like Ugin usually imprisons things. Like he's imprisoned the Eldrazi. He didn't destroy them, but he's imprisoned them. But in the first part, he says that he will wipe. He has a plan to wipe Bolas out of existence. It said, I quote: "Ugin assured Azor that thanks to centuries of planning, he had secreted away a means to remove Nicol Bolas from existence for good. Yes. They needed only to capture the Golden Dragon, and their task would be complete." This is what he told Azor.
Exactly. This is what he is saying. There's other. So here's the other parts that he's referencing how he wants to treat Nicol Bolas from this perspective. He says to Azor, Ugin says, "Every world is in danger as long as our enemy is free and whole. That is why I am here. I have devised a plan to rid the multiverse of his influence, but I cannot do it without you." And again, he says as long as our enemy is free and whole. Devise a plan to rid the multiverse of his influence.
Yeah.
Now,
that's what I think it means.
Now, well, there's even more. They talk about Azor says when they're talking about their plan. They even say they needed only to capture the Golden Dragon, which is Nicol Bolas, and their task would be complete. "You'll have to lure him to a specific location," Azor said. "I will need to know where to aim in order to summon him to the prison." And then Ugin says he's going to lure him to Tarkir. Now, the important part of this is they keep talking about. They talk about whenever Ugin is interacting with Azor, he talks about Bolas as a prisoner. Later in the story, he says he spoke across worlds. This is when Azor is on Ixalan and Ugin is on Tarkir. He spoke across worlds, for this was a time when planeswalkers possessed the strength of gods. Of course, this is pre-mending.
Yes, pre-mending.
"Ugin, my strength is increased tenfold with the help of my creation. I am ready to secure our prisoner." They never really say, and Ugin specifically never says anything about killing Bolas. They talk about sealing him off from the rest of the multiverse and capturing him and imprisoning him. But it is not in Ugin's MO to completely get rid of something. I think because we don't have it confirmed through the we know to be truthful narration, and whoever the narrator is, that Ugin never says, or it never confirms that Ugin actually wants to kill Bolas. Simply remove him from the multiverse. Now that could just mean...
Well, he says wipe him out from existence.
Yeah, but what is that? What does existence mean?
To Ugin, I don't know.
Because if he's trapped somewhere and he can't escape from a plane and he can't interact with the rest of the multiverse, as far as Ugin's concerned, he never has to interact with them again.
But why would Ugin want him alive?
Why does Ugin want to keep the Eldrazi alive? Why does Ugin want to keep anything alive?
Ugin has a plan for the Eldrazi. We learned that in the story. Because there's a reason Ugin imprisoned the Eldrazi. Ugin imprisoned the Eldrazi for a reason. We learned that in the battle between
Bolas. We learned that he imprisoned them for a reason. We didn't learn the reason.
Correct. But he imprisoned them for a reason. We don't know why, but we know he imprisoned them. We learned that he imprisoned them for a reason in the battle between Bolas and Ugin. Because Bolas reads Ugin's mind as he's like being attacked by the dragons. He learns that Ugin imprisoned the Eldrazi for whatever reason, and Bolas goes to unravel that plan and free the Eldrazi. He sets them free.
In this story, Ugin says directly to Bolas, he doesn't say he's going to kill him. He literally never says this. He says, Ugin bristled, the immortal sun will seal you in your prison, Planeswalker.
That's true.
That's what he wants. He wants to seal Ugin. Ugin wants to seal Bolas. Why? Why anything? Why anything for Ugin?
I don't know. We also know we don't know what Ugin's about. We know Ugin told Jace not to kill the Eldrazi, to leave them alone because they're misunderstood or no one knows their true purpose. And Jace and his team, the Gatewatch, pull Ulamog and Kozilek into reality or into where they are, and they kill Ulamog and Kozilek. And Ugin is super pissed.
Not happy about it.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, since we're talking about Jace, we now know that Jace literally implanted the trigger for him to planeswalk to Ixalan, so if Bolas found him, he would follow him to Ixalan and get trapped there.
Jace did that? No, Ugin implanted that in Jace.
In Jace.
Oh, yeah. That was a failsafe. Ugin implanted that thing in Jace so that if Bolas was scouring Jace's mind, he would planeswalk to Ixalan before Bolas found out that Ugin was still alive.
Yes, but doesn't he ultimately want? Doesn't he ultimately want?
No, because
you don't think he ultimately wants Ugin? He knows the immortal sun is still there.
But the thing is, when we learned that when people planeswalk to Ixalan, you can't track them. This is why the lightning bug can't track Vraska when she planeswalks away from wherever she is. From Ravnica. Yes. So I think when Jace planeswalked to Ixalan, Bolas had no idea where he went. Because when he sent Vraska there, he had no idea Jace would be there. Ugin was just saving himself. He does not want Bolas to know that he is alive. So that's why he put that thing in Jace, the trigger in Jace.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's why. Anyway, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say we also learned that Jace was the second strongest.
Well.
Mind.
Well.
Strongest.
well. The 43% of you.
We learned that Jace was the second.
Well. Now I'll let you finish.
All right.
Now I'll let you finish.
Thank you. In this story, we learned that Jace was the second strongest mind mage that we know of before he got his memories back. From when he was a teenager and trained with Alhamrit. And now, it didn't say this, but we are concluding, just like we concluded Ugin and Zora were friends 2 episodes ago, I think it's safe to conclude that Jace is the strongest mind mage in the multiverse because they literally said he used to be the second strongest, so now he's probably the strongest. Which is a tilt.
Well. What a short trip this has been.
Do you agree with me?
Of everything you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's definitely implying that Jace is now the strongest. Because he was the second strongest before he remembered all that stuff. And now he remembers everything, so he is Jace Almighty.
I hate that. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy because you could have seen this coming, Ali, and all you listeners.
I still don't think
listeners that didn't believe me. You could have seen this coming a month ago when I started ranting. When I started ranting about Jace, and some of you were like, "No, I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to happen either." I've made it very clear about how I feel about Jace, and it's not positive. Okay, I don't care for his character. He almost won me over. He was pushing. He was pushing me towards rooting for him, but that was very short-lived, and now we are back on the don't like Jace. He's going to be the strongest. He's ultimately going to go up against Bolas. I hope he doesn't, but I'm just saying, man, literally every week they're just plopping down little tidbits about how strong Jace is. You know why that is? Because they don't want you to be surprised when it happens. They don't want you to go back and say, this came out of nowhere. I can't believe Jace could do this. Well, if they tell you about it every single week, if they remind you how strong Jace is, that he's the strongest mind mage every single week, you're not going to be surprised when we ultimately get to the point. Okay,
you've had your rant. Well, then let me go. I still don't believe Jace will be able to 1v1 Bolas. I believe it's going to be a team of Planeswalkers. Maybe Jace will do the finishing blow or whatever, but I do not believe it will be just Jace and Bolas, and then Jace will outpower Bolas by himself.
That's fine. I'll keep asking you the question. Week after week, week after week.
Don't believe it.
Okay. I'm just saying. Look, for those of you that like to follow clues, I'm going to call this a breadcrumb, okay? You can have followed the breadcrumb from the beginning of the Rivals of Ixalan story to where we are now. You know where it's leading. People.
We did also learn that what Jace remembered about Bolas' plan. Bolas' last goal or last step involves Ravnica. He wants to go Ravnica. He's going to take all the Eternals from Amonkhet that have been laced with Lazotep, which allows them to travel in between planes. And he's going to take his army, and he wants to. His last goal is to go to Ravnica and do something there. We still don't know what is on Ravnica, but we know we will eventually go back to Ravnica. So, because that's where Bolas is going. Yeah. Jace after this is going to Dominaria,
which we obviously knew because we know Dominaria is the next set, and because they talked about going to Dominaria if anything went wrong.
Right, and he literally says it here. I'm going to Dominaria to meet up with the Gatewatch. I'm not sure if they're all there, but anyways, that's what he says. He's going to Dominaria. One kind of sad thing I read, which I noticed about too, was when Jace was erasing Vraska's memories, not erasing, but taking them from her and putting him in his mind.
Borrowing.
Yeah.
Borrowing her memories.
Yes. So he's taking them, and after he takes them, it says she could have sworn she heard the sound of rain. Her thoughts were calm and cool, her body relaxed. She felt like she was standing outside during a springtime shower. It says pleasant and refreshed, she blinked and looked around the empty room. She's in the place where the immortal sun was.
Sanctum of the sun.
Right. So she felt rain and showers, and the sad thing is that rain and showers weren't actually rain and showers. It was just her crying, and she just doesn't remember why she was crying, and that hit me like a man. That's sad
because she started crying before her memory got wiped.
Yes,
and then
as she was getting wiped, she was crying. And then she wakes up and she feels like this water on her face. She assumes it's just like a spring shower or something. And it's like, man, Vraska, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel bad for... I ultimately feel bad for Vraska, even though she helped Jace make a terrible decision last week. But that's not on... you know what? That's on Jace. That's not on Vraska.
Yeah, he was ultimately... He's ultimately the...
He was the trigger man.
He was. He did pull the trigger.
Yep.
And for someone that's 11,000 years old, as over 11,000 years old, I understand he gave up his spark, but Jace made him feel like a cat. It was a cat versus a bulldozer.
Well, Bolas did call Azor a cat this week.
He did.
He did call him cat. Yeah, well, you know why that is. That's because Jace is so strong.
I agree. He is strong.
Like
I'm not doubting that. I just still don't believe he'll go toe to toe with Bolas.
Yeah, okay. Well, sure, that's fine. You can not believe that. I mean, I'm sure when we get to that story in like a year and a half from now, you can just still not believe it then as you're reading the words on the page, and that'll be fine too.
No, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a team of Planeswalkers taking.
So you know what? But Ollie, you know what will happen?
What?
As you said, we are confirmed that we are going back to Ravnica sometime in the nearest future.
Yeah, we can assume so, unless they somehow stop Bolas in Dominaria, which I doubt.
Impossible. That is not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this brings us to our question of the week.
Question of the week.
We're going back to Ravnica. We know that. However, we don't know when we're going back to Ravnica. And of course, this is kind of a mixed lore question and real world question because of course, when we go back to Ravnica in the story, we're going to go back to Ravnica in the card game. So we can use some clues to know we're not going back in the next set because that's Dominaria. We're not going back in the set after that because that's the core set. So, Ali, when do you think we are going back to Ravnica?
I say fall of 2018, after the core set.
Wow, right after the core set.
Yes, I think so.
Right, why is that?
The reason I think we can go right at the core set is because Wizards has been back to back to wrapping up stories. We saw this on Zendikar where they battled Ulamog and Kozilek, and they went to Eldritch Moon, or they went to Innistrad, and conveniently Emrakul was there, which I called by the way. But anyways, Emrakul was there, and they wrapped up the whole Eldrazi story. And I think they're going to do the same thing for Bolas. I think it's time for Bolas. They're going to wrap up Bolas and introduce a new big bad. I think we'll see a new big bad in the core set, which will be Garruk. We haven't heard from him for a long time. We know he's hunting planeswalkers now and killing them. I think we'll see Garruk in the core set, or get a hint of him. Then we'll go to Ravnica. Bolas will be defeated or whatever, and then we can then focus on Garruk or Ugin, or I think that will be probably Garruk.
Okay. I'm going to agree with parts of what you said and disagree with some parts you said.
Okay.
I agree that I think that we're going to see Garruk come back shortly. Core set 2019 will actually mark 4 calendar years of us not seeing Garruk.
What's he been doing?
I don't know, but he's not gone. I know that. I think from a narrative perspective, I believe they're icing Garruk. They're kind of letting him cool off so they can reintroduce him and change some parts of his character. Now, this is probably going to be a natural progression because we know he's been cursed by the Chain Veil. We also know, in my opinion, I don't think we know this, but in my opinion, I think Liliana is going to be a part of the Dominaria story because that is her home plane.
Yeah.
Garruk ultimately is hunting Liliana. Now, he's hunting planeswalkers, but Liliana is
his ultimate game, in game, I guess.
In game for him.
Yes. But yeah.
So I do think that we're going to see Garruk shortly, but that's not our question of the week. Our question of the week, when we're going back to Ravnica, I'm going to say the fall 2019 set,
next year,
which is a year and over a year and a half away, next fall. And the reason for that is I think they're going to let this story marinate. Bolas has been the big bad in Magic essentially since the advent of the Planeswalker cards from Lorwyn. Well, really from Shards of Alara, but his from as far as a story perspective, like obviously they kind of wrote it back in where he knew of the mending and was preparing. That's when he went to Amonkhet, and then started becoming a major player in Shards of Alara. I mean, we're getting to 10 years, but that's going to be like the 10 year mark for that whole story. I think they're going to be, if they go to Dominaria, which Bolas has plans there probably, and then if they go immediately to Ravnica, I think that's going to be too quick. And I know they have been kind of wrapping up stories, but I don't think they're in a rush to wrap this one up, especially when they're setting up like specifically what's going to happen.
I agree with you, but I believe the core set is that break.
Okay, so you just think it's going to happen sooner than me.
Yeah,
that's fine.
So question of the week. When do you think we'll go back to Ravnica? I say fall of 2018.
I say
Justin
fall of
says,
2019.
Yes.
So
let us know.
Let us know at Thinktwice MTG on Twitter, at Ali Aintrazi on Twitter, at JParnell1 on Twitter. Question of the week this week. Someone's got to win. We can't have another tie.
I mean, I won last time, so.
Well, I mean, it was a tie, and then, you could have voted on the poll. I couldn't vote on the poll. I'm just saying.
Haters going to hate. Salters are going to salt.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm not salty. You're the one that's going to be salty when you realize that this poll is you're going down.
You're sowing salt. I'm going to have you sign sowing salt.
You know what sowing salt? What plane that took place on?
Ravnica.
Dominaria.
Exactly.
And Kamigawa is an alternate answer, but we'll ignore that one. All right. So that is going to wrap up this segment. Our next segment, we're going to take a break and come back for a minute, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite Hidden Roles board games. Ollie, something you and I both love are...
pancakes.
We do both love pancakes, that's true. Okay, something you and I both love are... I thought you were going to say something else. I was waiting. I thought it was going to be...
Bacon.
No, I don't love bacon. I'm out of the bacon phase.
Bacon pancakes. Making bacon pancakes.
No, I don't know. I'm not a... You know what? I'm over bacon. Bacon's a young man's game.
No way. Bacon's delicious. Just stop. Now you are wrong about every question of the week ever because you just said bacon is... you're done.
Bacon's a young man's game. Look, it's really it's really greasy. It's terrible for you.
You've lost any kind of credit you had is gone. Give up. You're done.
I won't give up. Not only will I not give up, I'm going to drop some knowledge on you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Well, even if you weren't ready, I was to drop it. So you don't have to be ready for me to drop it. So
drop me like it's hot?
So in this segment, we're going to be talking about something we've talked about a little bit before, and that's board games. But a really specific type of board game. And really not even necessarily a board game. These are more games that sometimes have boards, sometimes have cards, sometimes have none. And these are hidden roles games, or as they're sometimes called, social deduction games. So, Ollie, how would you... Actually, you know what? I'll do it. I'll describe. I was going to ask you to describe the subgenre, but I think it's only fair since I get you to do the story recap every week.
Go ahead. That's true.
So, social deduction games or hidden roles games are games where whatever your goal is hidden from the other players, or if the goal isn't hidden, your either interaction with the other players or what you're able to do in the game is hidden from the rest of the players in the game, or a large percentage of the players in the game.
Explain a game. It's better. I think it's easier for me when you explain a game.
Sure. So why don't we start with the first one of each of these that we played?
All right. The first one I ever played was called Werewolf.
And Werewolf is... I'll let you finish in a second. Werewolf, I think, is the most common...
Thanks, Kanye.
The most common of these games.
Can I speak now, Kanye? Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I played Werewolf at a Grand Prix, I believe. I believe actually Chapin was the narrator.
Patrick Chapin.
Yeah, Patrick Chapin was the narrator at a Grand Prix we played one time. And I know what's going on. Then I just joined in. And it was just a really fun game. Like, you get to learn about your friends. You get to learn about how they are and how they think. Werewolf is a game where essentially, like, let's say there's 10 of you. 7 of you are humans or civilians, essentially, and then 3 of you are human that become werewolves at night. And the goal is to find who the werewolves are and hang them. And the werewolves are killing one person off at a time at night when no one can see. And it's really cool because like it's very political. It's debating and it's a ton of mind games. So yeah, are you gonna not talk?
No, I was waiting. I thought you were going to keep going on.
No, go ahead. That's it.
So this,
what was our favorite? What was your favorite?
Well, I was going to say, do you want to tell people, because you just say you are this. So in the beginning, when you start the game, you're secretly assigned these roles by a moderator.
A.K.A. Patrick Chapin.
And only the moderator, which can be anyone, you don't have to have Patrick Chapin be the moderator. Only the moderator knows who each of the people are that are playing and what their roles are. And each of the roles have different actions associated with them and different goals. So the werewolves, again, as Ollie was saying, try to hide themselves among the people that are the villagers or the humans, and basically use, because this is really just a talking game. There's no pieces. There's no randomness. It's just deduction.
Political, basically. Yeah.
You are deducting with your fellow people on who the werewolves are. Now, of course, the werewolves are incentivized to lie because they want to win. They don't want to tell people they're werewolves. So as you go through the game via talking, you try to figure out who the werewolves are, and the werewolves try to misdirect you on them being werewolves.
Yes.
This is also one of my favorite games. It's not the very first one I played, ironically enough. Even though I had seen it be played several times, but I'd never played it myself. Because I actually remember the first time that you played, it was in the hotel lobby. Yeah. In the downstairs hotel lobby. I was actually cubing at the time when you were playing.
Yeah, I came to you, I was like, this game is amazing. We need to play it more.
Yeah. So this is something. This is like a lot of people's introduction into this type of game, but it's also the most different from all the other games we're going to talk about. My favorite hidden roles or social deduction game, and also my favorite one, is a game called Coup. Coup is a game that you play with cards. There are 5 different roles, and there are 3 cards associated with each role. Each of the roles has a different action associated with it. When the game starts, you deal out 2 cards, which are called influence, to each player. The point of the game is to get everyone else to lose their influence. So basically, you have an action that's associated with a card, and you have a couple of basic actions. They resolve around either getting coins, like a small amount of free coins from the middle, or using a large amount of free coins to make someone lose a card. And all of the actions are associated with that, about either getting more cards, looking at more cards in the kind of the middle deck, getting more coins so you can knock someone out by using the move called Coup, which uses 7 coins to make someone lose an influence, or stealing coins from other players or getting more coins. The best part about this game is you don't have to ever tell the truth. You can lie regardless of what your cards are. So no one ever knows when you're telling the truth. Of course, if you believe someone's lying, you can call them out on it. However, if you're wrong, you're going to lose a card. If they're lying, they lose a card. The reason this is my favorite game is this game scales with the people that are playing it. You can play it with new players, and you might win a couple times in a row, but they can just decide they don't want you to win, and they can knock you out. If you're playing with experienced players, you can use a variety of strategies to kind of determine how the flow of your game is working. But again, this is a game you play with 4, 5, 6 people, and it's really identifying who is telling the truth and who is lying is ultimately the most important part of the game. And identifying the times when they're telling the truth and when they're lying. Werewolf is great. Coup is great. Coup is this is actually a game that you don't have to even own the game to do it, even though it's a really cheap game. It's like $15, and it's really quick to play. It's a great in-between rounds game also, where a lot of these other games sometimes take a little bit longer. I always have a copy of Coup on me, so if you ever see me at an event or just like anywhere where I have my bag, I probably have Coup in my bag because it's the best.
That's a sweet game. I love Q too.
Yeah, I've gotten really good at explaining the rules really quickly to new players. So it's my favorite game to teach new people because it's really quick and it's fun to see what type of players each person's going to be, which we'll get to in a second.
Yes.
Some of my other favorite games are Shadowhunters, which is it's like an RPG type deduction game where everyone gets a character, but it's secret. So you don't know what other people's characters are. And they all have different attributes of what they're able to do. You don't ever call people out by lying, but once you figure it out, you can kind of mold your actions based around what you think that they are. The different people win by different game states happening. Some people win when X number of people have lost the game. Some people win when X number of people won the game. And you never really find out until the very end of the game what someone was. And it's very it's kind of comic booky elements. Like I said, it's got like some role playing elements, and it does have some dice in it because it's like kind of like an attacking game. Like you can attack people, and try to get certain people to win or certain people to lose. But that's one of my favorite ones. Ollie, do you have another of your favorite?
Yeah, I like the Resistance Avalon. It's similar to Coup and Werewolf. Like it's kind of like in between. It's a little longer, a little more complicated. But essentially, you're trying to go on missions, and people have to vote for the missions or decline the missions. You have to tell why. Merlin knows like who the bad. Like it's basically very similar to. I'm not sure how to explain it. Did you explain this one better than me?
Yeah, sure. The Resistance is a game where at the beginning, each player again is dealt a singular character card face down, and this is your character. You're either a good guy or a bad guy, essentially for the entirety of the game. Avalon is basically like a medieval version of this. The Resistance and the Resistance Avalon are the same game. It's just one of them has like a medieval flair. The other one is like kind of a futuristic dystopian flair. And you essentially, the goal for everyone, because everyone, in the beginning, you think everyone's a good guy because you don't have a reason to believe anyone's a bad guy. But the bad guys are basically there to sabotage the good guys and try to get on the side of the good guys by being placed on teams to complete missions and then making those missions fail on purpose. So if a certain number of missions fail, the bad guys win. If you complete all the missions, the good guys win. There are some characters that have like special powers and special abilities and special goals, as is common with a lot of these hidden roles games. And I agree. I actually like the Avalon version a little bit more than the regular Resistance version, but they're both really good games, and it's just kind of different flavors for what you like. Two of my other favorite ones, and these are a lot longer, are Dead of Winter, which is kind of like a dystopian apocalyptic zombie game.
That's like the expansion for Hex.
Oh, it's called Dead of Winter?
Yeah.
Yep. And then the Battlestar Galactica games. Both of these games, more so Battlestar Galactica, this is a game that is really, like, if you've watched that show, it's very flavorful for the show. Basically, everyone starts as a human, and at some point almost everyone starts as a human, except there are one or two Cylons. And then at another point in the game, another person can become a Cylon. And of course, the Cylons are trying to get the humans to lose, and you're trying to figure out who the Cylons are so you can make sure they're not able to allow the humans to lose. Except it's a really long game. Like, this game takes a few hours. It's very meticulous. And if you really like trying to figure small edges and I don't want to say note taking, but like mental note taking, so you can figure out who the Cylons are and prepare to make sure to battle them if you figure out who they are. That game is a lot of fun because this is a game that continues even when you figure out who the Cylons are, because then it becomes a war. It becomes less of social deduction and more of like strategy, where you're strategizing with your team once you figure out who's on your team and who's not.
That's crazy. I never played that one.
That one's a lot of fun. That one it'll mind bend you pretty good. Dead of Winter is another one that's similar. It's less hidden roles and more social deduction, and it's kind of about, like I said, it's more apocalyptic and zombie. It's also a longer form game. It's probably the least hidden rolesy of all the ones that we're talking about, as far as like similarities to, like, it's probably the farthest away from Werewolf, which is I think is the most pure of all of these games, as far as like people having hidden roles and trying to figure it out just through discussion. Because it is more, this is the most board gamey one of all of them, but it still kind of falls in that category. And another really quick one that I like is a game called Love Letter, which basically you get cards that are hidden from the other players, and based on the cards that you have, you're trying to get the princess's hand, or trying to deliver a letter to the princess, a love letter. And you're basically trying to eliminate other people based on what you have in your hand, but it's a secret for the entire game. It's a really quick game. That's also something you can play in between rounds at events.
Yeah, I like Coup more than that one, but anyways.
Oh, I do too. Coup's my favorite.
Yeah, all right. Let's get down to the best part, because all these games have some number of roles and people that always do the same thing traditionally.
Yes. So we have determined 5 different roles that people can be in these type of games. And these are not saying like you're a human or you're a werewolf or you're the Duke or you're a Cylon.
This is your personality.
These are personality types in the game. You know how Magic has Spike and Timmy and Johnny and Vorthos and Melvin? Well, we got our own for these games.
All right, I want to start.
Okay.
In every one of these hidden role games, you'll always have at least one truth teller. The truth teller is a person that always tells the truth. They're great at being the good guy because you can trust them, but they're awful at lying because you can tell when they're lying, and they're just really bad at it. And usually they're the first ones to go if they're bad. Like usually the bad guys will actually kill that bad one off as a weakest link
because they're a liability.
Yes, yeah, and play it off like, oh yeah, I'm on your side. I killed a werewolf for example. But I was just going to say this person is just either usually it's a new player.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Usually, and sometimes it's just a person that just always tells the truth. They're always just want to tell the truth.
So, and there's not always a game where there's good guys and bad guys. Like in Coup, they're the person that's always going to take the action that is associated with the card that they have.
Correct.
And they're never going to lie about it. Now, you would think like, well, why would you always want to tell the truth? Because if you're in a position where you can't tell the truth, it makes you lose. Well, occasionally, some people that are the truth teller will tell the truth 98% of the time. And when they're lying, they'll always get away with it because they tell the truth so frequently. But
still, even then, the truth teller, like, there's some that just literally just tell the truth 100% of the time because they just. I've seen this a lot.
Some people don't like lying, even in games that incentivizes you to lie.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And the next one is we called the Joker. The Joker is essentially a bad liar. They don't know how to really lie, and if they lie, you can tell it's obvious. So whether they're good, bad, or telling the truth or lying, they're always cracking jokes, or they're pretending not to care about the game. They're doing all this to deceive because they can't deceive through words. So they deceive through like actions,
more of misdirecting
body language.
Yeah.
Yes.
More of trying to misdirect you based on things that are external of the information that they're giving you in the game.
Correct. Yes. And
now
the joke.
Now
go ahead. I'll let you tell this.
Okay. Now the Joker is an interesting character because it's like, well, someone that generally has trouble kind of misdirecting people. Eventually, if you keep playing the same game over and over with them, or you keep playing the same type of game, the Joker will eventually turn into what we're calling the Agent of Chaos. And the Agent of Chaos is a Joker that has decided that he or she can no longer win and randomly decides that you don't need to win anymore, and the whole reason for them to play the game is to create madness among the other players.
Yes, they will. Yeah, they will just pick whoever loses or wins. They'll make random decisions. They could be the good guy but cast the wrong stone, or vote to kill an innocent person. And then when you hang them, you find out they were actually a good guy. And it's just like, why are you doing this? There's like, whatever.
Because they just want, at this point, they've decided that winning doesn't matter, and their enjoyment out of the game is just to see the world burn and to see people pull their hair out.
Yes, exactly. And this is the Joker, guys. So never let the Joker become Agent of Chaos. You need to slow him down.
Yeah, you want to keep him in the Joker territory, because once they get in Agent of Chaos territory, it's tough for them to turn back.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And the next one we have is called the Web Weaver. The Web Weaver is the one that is extremely good at playing these games traditionally, and they are the ones that tell big truths, but always weave little lies in those truths to get you to believe them. So, like, they're lying. They're getting what they want by telling the truth most of the time, but they will sneak in a little lie in the truth to get you to sway you to their side.
And it's more like, it's not that they're telling the truth all the time. It's that they're selecting truths to tell.
Yes.
And I think that's the more important part. Like, this is more like a, like, it says that, like, statistics you can tell whatever story you want by saying statistics. The Web Weaver will point out things that are true. This person voted for this thing earlier in the game. I did this thing earlier in the game, so you should not believe him and you should believe me. Now, both of those things might be true, but they might be leading you in a wrong direction.
Yes, correct.
And the best way to play against the Web Weaver is to notice the things that they don't say rather than the things that they do say.
Yes. And Justin is a Web Weaver.
I'm not a Web Weaver at all.
Okay. All right. Sure. That's what a Web Weaver would say. Okay. The next one we have is what I call the lover. By lover, we mean people that are moved by emotion.
Yes.
Like, winning is secondary, because they're the person. Like, if you convince them that you are the good guy, even if you're bad, they will 100% be on your side because they believe you're good. But if they learn that you deceived them in the next game, they don't care about winning. They want you to die first because you betrayed them in the previous game. You're going down, buddy.
And I think it's unfair to say that winning is secondary initially.
Revenge. Revenge is the first thing in their mind.
Well, the first thing in their mind is winning, but once they become betrayed, once someone has lied to them in the game and betrayed their trust,
revenge becomes first.
Then revenge becomes first over winning.
Yes.
And they will target that person.
That's why we're calling them lover.
Even in future games.
Correct. Even in completely different games where the roles are 100% hidden, they will not trust you, and they will target you.
Go for the throat.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one, Ali,
is the purist. The purist is the person that always tries to play the game the right way, and they usually get mad at non-purists. By purist, I'll let Justin explain what a purist is.
Sure. So the purist is someone who they want to play the game in a way that they think is correct. They're trying to use as much hard information as they can to determine everyone's roles, determine who everyone is in the game, what their motives are. And generally, when purists are playing with other purists, they all have a great time because they're all kind of in the game for the same reason. They think that they're playing the game in the way that it's meant to be played. Whatever game this is, this could be in any game. However, The Purist is a lot of fun to play with when you're any of the other things. If you're the Truth Teller, if you're the Joker, the Web Weaver, or the Lover, because the Purist loses its mind when it's playing with any of these other things. The Purist hates the Truth Teller because it knows that the Truth Teller shouldn't be telling the truth all the time, and it drives it crazy. The Purist hates the Joker because the most hates the Joker the most, because the Joker is making a mockery of the game that the Purist wants it to be played correctly, and the Joker just refuses. Yes. The Purist doesn't like the Lover because it doesn't believe in revenge. It believes in winning as much as it possibly can in order to play the game without emotion at the Purist level. And the Joker, or not the Joker, the Purist even hates the Web Weaver because the Web Weaver is inconsistent in how it plays. And the Purist wants to find out the most information, so the Purist is driven mad by the Web Weaver as well, because it can't always figure out what is going on with the Web Weaver.
Which is great. It's great. It's hilarious.
So
the Purists are fun.
They are. When we were going over these in pre-production, I was trying to describe the Purist, and then I was like, oh, here you go. One of our friends, who works at Wizards now, ironically, David McDarby, he's the Purist.
Yes.
So if you've ever played a game with David McDarby, he's the Purist.
He's a Purist, yes.
Ollie, what do you think you are?
I think I am. I used to be, Web Weaver / Lover.
Yeah.
I think now more so in my old age, I am just more of the Web Weaver.
I think you are a combination of the Truth Teller and the Web Weaver.
Okay, which is a
dangerous dangerous combination.
That's a huge compliment then. Okay.
Yeah, because I am a combination of the Web Weaver and the Purist.
Okay. Well, what would you say the most powerful combination is then?
I don't think I think you could have any two. I think the only not powerful combination is the Joker and the Lover.
Yeah.
But again, what is powerful? See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
What is your point for these games? Is your point to have as much fun as possible? Because the combination of the Joker and the Lover is probably going to have more fun than any other combination.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, I don't know. I think it's kind of like that's the whole point. That's why we love these games, because any number of different people could be getting a number of different things out of these games. Ollie and I like to play to win, but we also we love these types of games because they involve such critical thinking and deductive reasoning, and really they're so hard. They're so important to.
They make you think.
They make you think and feel about other people.
Yeah, and learn so much. And there's times Justin and I play, and we're having so much fun, and then we learn that we are on opposite sides, and then we have to kill the other person, even if I'm bad or just good. We have to figure out a way to dispose of the other one without making it obvious that we know.
Yes,
because we usually. I'm not trying to brag here, but we usually find we are one of the best, if not the best players when we play together. So we're always wary of each other, and that's hilarious. Anytime we're together, if we're on the same side, it's gonna be. I don't know. It's gonna be awesome because I don't think we've actually lost while being on the same side.
I don't think in any of these. I don't think that we have in any of these games, honestly, which is kind of crazy, but. And that's the thing. The better you know someone, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to win in these games, unless you know them way better than they know you. But that would be pretty unusual.
Yeah, you get to learn a lot. You get to learn so much about people, though. So much more about people than who they are, and what kind of. It's great. It's just great because you learn things that you wouldn't learn. You won't learn any other way. Yep. So I like it. And the reason, just to clarify, because some people might have been confused, I realized, about me saying that you're a combination of the Truth Teller and the Web Weaver, is you have the ability. And I'm blowing up your spot a little bit. If anyone plays these games with you have, because it is a compliment. You have the ability to go on these long stretches of telling the truth
only to take a sharp turn into blatant bold-faced lying, and you catch people because they were prepared for truth teller Ali, and you've really just built them up to be destroyed by web weaver Ali. And you're laughing because you know that's exactly what you do.
Yeah, it's true.
And I like the reason that I'm the purist and the web weaver is the same reason for Ali for being the web weaver, but the purist is I will list out, like literally in like list order, all of the reasons that someone is a certain role, which is what I like to do, which is what I like to do on Ali, because I know how he works. So I will explain all of his actions. And he'll, of course, if we're on the opposite sides, he'll just try to deflect as much as he possibly can.
And it works though, which is crazy.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
But it's easy to deflect on you because people know you are also a web weaver.
Exactly.
So it's
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, guys, Justin is very cunning. Like, don't trust him. Like, you can't trust him. We've played 2 games before. You know he's done this before. He's thrown me on the bus. It's Justin. And then from that, they know I'm right. They know Justin's right. And it's just like an all out like. Yeah. It's like, all right, guys, ignore both of them. Let's or basically kill both of them. Like,
yeah, that does happen sometimes. Even when we're on the other side, there's been times in Werewolf where the decision for the rest of the game has been, I don't know who's right, but I do know we need to kill both Justin and Ali just to be safe.
Yes, yeah. Basically, like you become too good at being a. If you're too good at being a web weaver, take it as a compliment when you just die immediately. Okay,
and that happens. They'll just be like,
yeah,
like if you're playing Werewolf and you wake up and you're just randomly dead the first night, you just got to kind of shrug your shoulders and go like, yeah, well, okay.
You want to play, but at the same time, like it's almost like a subtle compliment because you know, hey, you're great, you're great at the game.
And I don't want to like turn this into like us patting ourselves on the back. These are just but this is like our favorite type of game.
I love these games, and I don't even play them enough. I love these games.
Yeah. All the games that we suggested, I actually suggest if you like this type of game at all, I would check out each of those because each of them you can play with a varying number of people. Like Coup and Love Letter, you can play with a small number of people. Then like Shadow Hunters and Dead of Winter, you can play with a slightly larger number. Then Avalon and Battlestar Galactica, you can play with a slightly larger number. And then Werewolf, you can play with 100 people.
My favorite is by far Werewolf. It's just the hardest to organize for me.
It is the hardest to organize just in general.
But it's just the most fun I've had playing these kind of games.
So I would, if you've never played these games and any of what we said made you laugh or you thought it would be fun, please check these out. These are also, a lot of these are great like family games, like with extended family, especially Werewolf. Because it's a lot of fun. These are all great games to play with people you know and great games to play with people you don't know, which is why I love them so much.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Okay. Ollie, anything else you web weaver?
No, I'm good. I am good.
Okay.
I've woven my web.
All right. Well, our web has been woven for this episode, so we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you what we're looking forward to in the next week and do a little quick wrap-up. I know, for me, I'm doing a thing next week that I'm going to be doing for the next few weeks, and that is the Roanoke Vintage League number 6.
Ooh.
I'm playing.
I wish I could play in that. Like, I wish I could play in Vintage, honestly.
Oh, man, I do too. And you could, like, in our league, you can play all proxies. It doesn't matter if you own the cards or not. Yeah. We just want to play some Vintage, man. We just want to play some Vintage.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
I'm playing an Academy Rector deck this round.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Academy Rector and Cabal Therapy. You know I'm getting with Academy Rector?
Like Omniscience.
And Yawgmoth's Bargain.
Oh, God. Man, sign me up. What can I sign up?
I know. It's pretty sweet. My only creatures in the deck are 4 Academy Rector, 1 Gristlebrand, 1 Emrakul, 1 Monastery Mentor.
That's great.
Of course, the only one of those that's banned or that's restricted in Invention is Monastery Mentor, because it's pretty crazy. But I will let you guys know in a couple weeks how I'm doing with that deck, how that went. This is a deck I've never played before, but it's kind of powerful on the surface, and it looks like a blast to play, so I'm really excited about it.
Are you playing like 4 Omniscience and 4 Show and Tell?
No, I'm just playing one. I'm playing one Omniscience.
Okay.
I'm playing because I'm playing 4 Academy Rector.
Sure.
So coupled with Cabal Therapy, you can play Academy Rector and immediately sacrifice it without your opponents having an opportunity to respond.
Yeah. So you protect your tutor with therapying.
Yeah.
And you get it's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty awesome actually.
Yeah. It sounds awesome. Let me know how that goes. I'm super intrigued. This weekend I'll be playing in the most likely the Hex 1K and possibly there's also a PGQ online, a standard one. I'm thinking about double queuing, like just queuing up for standard and playing like some aggro burn deck in standard and like some fast deck in Hex, and just I have 2 monitors, just playing both games.
Yeah, I think you could probably do it.
Yeah, and just trying to do well in one of them. I'm just scared that I'll lose, like there'll be a time where like I'll lose focus in one because I'd focus on the other one. But hopefully by playing 2 aggressive decks,
you gotta play aggressive decks for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ali, if people want to watch you, where can they do so?
You can watch me at twitch.tv/Ali Aintrazi. You can follow me at twitter.com/Ali Aintrazi. Or you can find me at my house at house/Ali Aintrazi.
Okay, that's interesting. That's a new one.
Okay, and also my articles come out on every Friday at gatheringmagic.com. Actually, last week I had some new brews for you with Sakama. I'm actually tuning that deck. I'll be back with it next week with a sweet list, guys. But this week I have two new brews. I'm busting out the Dynavolt Towers, which lets me bust out Azor's Gateway and the Immortal Sun. You want to check that out? Articles. Because if people are braiding your Azor's Gateways and Dynavolt Towers, that's how you resolve your Immortal Sun. We also have.
That's true.
It's true.
I almost had to. I want to let everyone know that I had to mute my mic for a second because I was actually laughing at that. That house joke just got me for some reason.
House/Ali Aintrazi.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, you should check it out. Also, I posted. You guys check the Daily MTG. They posted a Turbo Fog list. I took that and just kind of made adjustments to it too. Still different. You just check it out if you want to see some new brews.
All right, I will check it out. I do want to see some new brews. If you want to see some sweet EDH action, you can do so on StarCityGames.com and YouTube for me. It is Commander Versus, but we're playing EDH this week. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Same thing. Yeah.
Got it. No, it's not the same thing.
Commander versus EDH.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Is it EDH Commander?
Well, kind of, but not this one. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Oh my god!
You'll have to watch to find out.
Okay. All right.
I'll
check it out.
You can also find me at twitter.com/jparnell1 and other places on the internet, like in the comments section of Commander Versus. Or on Reddit. I'm on Reddit too. If you want to find the show, you can do so at SoundCloud. You can do so on iTunes. You can do so on YouTube. You can follow the show at Thinktwice MTG on Twitter. Or if you want to email us directly, thinktwicemtg@gmail.com. We'd love for you to leave comments and subscribe to our channels and all of those things that can help spread the word of the show. That's really what the most important thing for us is now, as we continue to get off the ground, even though we're getting close to a half year of doing this. Actually, I think we're right over the hump. We're right over the half year hump.
Man, halfway there. Living on a prayer.
If you also want to support the show in other ways, you can do so by supporting us on patreon.com/thinktwicemtg. We're getting close to all of our goals, and we have a very good update for all of you. One, we're at the month mark where we've collected the Patreon funds from our supporters since we changed all of our not our goals, all of our I can't think of the word, all of our support tiers.
Yes.
So all of you that are supporting at support tiers, where you're going to be getting treats and special things, we're going to start reaching out to you independently based on the tiers that you are. And we also have a very special thing that we're going to be sharing on our Patreon channel. Ollie, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, you guys have shattered the goals all within a month.
You shattered it like a 90-year-old hip.
Yes, yeah. So we've had we're still here. We promise you we're working on everything, but we will be announcing this week when this podcast goes up. You should check out the Thinktwice page or Twitter or somewhere. We finally have the art for the playmats, and they are amazing.
It's really sweet.
Yes, Justin is a little black. He's he's a black guy with he's being a demon. You should check that out. And then me, I want to be a shapeshifter, but you guys have to check out the art to see the justice in it. It's phenomenal. I think it's gonna be great. I love it.
It is pretty awesome. The tokens are coming soon. We'll, as soon as those are finished, we will post those up for everyone to see as well. And we're very close to being able to turn this podcast into a vodcast. Of course, we'll still have the audio portion for you podcast only listeners, but you'll be able to see Ollie's gorgeous face and my regular looking face every week.
Awesome. That's just fantastic.
And of course, we also want to give a shout out to our graphic designer, Amber West. You're about to see a lot more of her work. Our director and producer, John Choi, and our Agent of Bullet producers, Daniel Hunt, Gordon Russell, and Josh Lyons. We could not do the show without you. Thank you guys very much. You're going to get some sweet, sweet rewards coming pretty soon down the pipeline.
Thank you very much. You get some sweet Swag Tusk rewards.
Yes, you will. But no, not actual Swag Tusk, but Swag-tastic.
But Swaggier Tusk.
Swag-tuscular.
More Tusk swag.
Always carry 2 spears.
2 spears.
Yeah, 2 spears. That's really the important lesson.
That's the important part. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Ollie, I couldn't do a show without you. I love you, buddy.
Love you too, man. I love you guys too. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you next week.